Kel'el Ware is about to shock everybody, and I'm here to break down why and what to expect from this young Miami Heat rookie, all on this episode of Heat Digest. But first, before we get to the news, remember, if you're a part of the 85.5% currently watching this video, not currently subscribed to the channel, and you want to stay up to date on everything Miami Heat, scroll down, click the subscribe button, help us get to our new goal of 2,000 subscribers. We do appreciate all the love and support, so thank you guys so very much for everything. But now let's get to it and break down. Here comes Kel'el Ware. Now, dating back to the NBA draft, this most recent NBA draft, when the Miami Heat acquired Kel'el Ware out of Indiana with the 15th overall pick in the first round, we celebrated on this channel for more reason than one. Now, obviously, the biggest reason being the fact that the Miami Heat so desperately needed a center, and really exactly just a big man. Whether it was a center or a power forward, we desperately needed the help in the interior, rebounding as well as defending the rim. Now, Kel'el Ware, coming out of Indiana, obviously was a tall, lengthy, very, very frail frame, but again, had the capabilities and the potential to really be a dominant defensive center near the painted area, as well as the ability to have a very large offensive bag. Now, when we got Kel'el Ware, we didn't know if we were going to see him play alongside Bam Adebayo. It was something that we vocalized on this channel that we would have loved to see because of the defensive capabilities as well as the offensive capabilities of these two guys being side by side. The idea of moving Bam Adebayo back to his power forward position, that he just has been accustomed to being known as a power forward despite being a center for this Miami Heat team for the entire tenure of his career in the NBA, obviously all with the Miami Heat. But now it seems like as of late, Kel'el Ware is getting his chance to really showcase his talents and his abilities on this Miami Heat team, playing alongside Bam Adebayo. It only took 41 games for this Miami Heat and Eric Spoelstra to make this move, and now it seems like we are really getting some good production from this young rookie. Now, the biggest game that made headlines was this recent win for this Miami Heat team over the San Antonio Spurs, where we won 128-107. Now, Jimmy Butler was active in this game. Obviously, he has returned from that 7-game suspension. He hasn't been otherworldly by any means, but again, he has been a part of this Miami Heat team. But again, the biggest piece of this win, without a doubt, has to be the rookie, Kel'el Ware. Now, this is arguably the most minutes he's played in the most substantial game that he has played in the sense that it was a win. He was a very dominant factor through the entirety of the game when he was active, and he did it against Victor Wembanyama. Now, Bam Adebayo has not been great up to this point in the year, without a doubt. We desperately need him to pick it up. But again, we could definitely assume that the pressure put on Bam Adebayo due to not having Jimmy Butler, at least Jimmy Butler statistically up to the performance that we've expected him to have through this point of the year, as well as Tyler Hero really being the more ball dominant, really the dominant force in general on this Miami Heat team, being able to bring Kel'el Ware into the starting rotation and just in general to play alongside Bam Adebayo, we could really see some pressure taken off of Bam, not only offensively, but as well as defensively, as Kel'el Ware has capabilities to really fill it up on both ends. Now, for this game against Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs, the rookie Kel'el Ware in 34 minutes had 25 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and a plus-minus of plus 27 on damn good shooting. 10 of 19 from the field, which is 52.5%, as well as 1 for 5 behind the three-point line. Yes, Kel'el Ware, coming out of Indiana, we all knew had the ability to knock down an open three and really has the ability to stretch the floor very effectively, being 7 foot plus and having the wingspan and length that he does have. Now, he did make all 4 of his free throws, did not turn the ball over, and again, split his rebounds both 4-4 on the defense as well as the offensive side of things. Now, Kel'el Ware and what he brings to this Miami Heat team is going to really be hard to measure. And the reason I say that is because I feel like he's going to be so substantially important. Now, the rebounding problems for the Miami Heat are substantial. Now, without a doubt, if you watch these matchups between Bam Adebayo and others, you see these other opposing centers and really players that are designated to just dominating on the boards and an ability to grab rebounds, whether they be offensive or defensive. We see big numbers from these opposing centers. It doesn't matter if it's Jokic from the Denver Nuggets or Vucevic from the Bulls. It really doesn't matter. From the best player in the league to a very good role player in the sense of a center for other decent, if not mediocre teams, they usually have very, very strong success against this Miami Heat team, ranking 25th in rebounds allowed overall to to opposing teams at 45 and a half. It if you don't win the rebounding battle, it is very hard to win basketball games, especially when you're giving offensive rebounds up. Now, having only Bam Adebayo on the floor, this is not the biggest lineup for the Miami Heat. Obviously, it usually looks something along the lines of Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Hayward Highsmith, and Bam Adebayo. Now, Hayward Highsmith has great abilities to rebound the basketball, but when it comes down to specific matchups, specific situations, we are definitely considered a smaller lineup, and it gives us the inability to rebound the ball at an efficient and an effective rate compared to these other teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers, like the Boston Celtics, like the Denver Nuggets. These teams that are the cream of the crop out of the entirety of the NBA, and that is for good reason. Obviously, they are prolific on the offensive end, and they play good defense, but again, the thing that stands out amongst all the other teams is the ability to rebound the basketball at such a high level. Now, based off these stats, it's not going to get the job done. And obviously, the Miami Heat have not been the best team up to this point. Now, just fighting to stay right around 500. We do have a favorable schedule coming up, it seems like. But again, we've seen the Miami Heat drop games to subpar teams in the past, and a lot of it has to do with the rebounding battle. Now, look for Kel'el Ware, and we're going to break down quotes from Eric Spoelstra now, citing the idea that it seems like this is going to be a real opportunity for Kel'el Ware going forward. Not only playing alongside Bam Adebayo, but getting an increase in minutes and really having a chance to prove himself as a legitimate center for this Miami Heat team and a legitimate piece in the NBA that is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Now, we're not going. We will get into it. The Rookie of the Year right now is up for grabs. There's no way around it. Alexander Sarr for the Washington Wizards, as well as others, are playing well. Missy for the Pelicans. But there's no one that is really substantially standing out amongst all the rest in this rookie crop. And I'm here to tell you, Kel'el Ware, if given the minutes and given the really potential and opportunities to go out there and play this brand of basketball that we've seen in the past, without a shadow of a doubt, he should be not only at the top of this Rookie of the Year race, but it would be surprising if he wasn't dominating this really category in this award by the end of the year, if given the opportunities like we saw against the San Antonio Spurs, which, mind you, we mentioned it before, but again, against Victor Wembanyama, who is very young. I understand he is only a second-year player in the NBA. But the kid has more potential and more ability than anyone we've seen since LeBron James coming out of high school. And I know that seems crazy, but again, he's 7'2". He can shoot from 30+ feet away. Also, again, the height and the length is without a doubt unguardable when he decides to go at the basket. He doesn't have to jump to dunk the basketball. His ability to alter shots around the rim is phenomenal. And again, we saw Kel'el Ware, a rookie, really find his groove, and despite a very, very tough defensive matchup, where then we saw Eric Spoelstra speak about Kel'el Ware as well as Bam Adebayo and the idea of them possibly playing together. So again, we're going on to quote those quotes from Eric Spoelstra on playing Bam and Ware at the same time. Again, quoting Eric Spoelstra as he goes on to say, "It's such a small sample size. Obviously, they're both dynamic defensive players. They give us more versatility and more ability to make things tough. We're at a point where I will start to do things that I think will help." And now, obviously, 41 games into the NBA season, sitting at 21-20, we are right above 500. We cannot continue to drop games. We cannot afford to lose like games to teams in Portland, teams in Detroit, teams against the lower crop. We have to be able to beat up on these teams, and if we don't, we are going to find ourselves not only in the play-in, but at the bottom of those play-in rankings, which is not what we are aiming for in Miami. Now, citing Zachary Weinberger again, Eric Spoelstra on continuing to give Bam Adebayo and Kel'el Ware extended minutes, saying, and I quote, "It was working. We need some obvious decisions right now." And again, that's the end of the quote from Eric Spoelstra. If you listen to the entirety of this 25-second quote from Eric Spoelstra in the postgame following that win against the San Antonio Spurs, he goes on to elaborate and really say that Bam Adebayo obviously is very good. There's no way around it. Offensively as well as defensively, he has a bunch of potential and a bunch of abilities to get it done. We've seen it for years now. Obviously, up to this point in the year, it has not been great from Bam Adebayo, but again, to really reiterate what we mentioned earlier in this video, bringing Kel'el Ware in there, whether it be to start alongside Bam or to bring him off the bench to really platoon another center in there and maintain size depending on the matchups. I understand it's really going to come down to matchups and situations and how this Miami Heat team is facing off against whichever team it may be. Again, it could substantially take some pressure off of Bam Adebayo, not only offensively, but again, defensively, allowing Kel'el Ware to really be a force down in the painted area. Now, the last quote from Eric Spoelstra we're going to highlight, again, from Zachary Weinberger on Twitter, saying, Eric Spoelstra was asked about the possibility adjustment of Bam Adebayo if they move forward with him and Kel'el Ware on the floor, where Eric Spoelstra goes on to say, and I quote, defensively, he can adjust easily. Offensively, look, we've been working on this behind the scenes just a little bit each day. And the quote from Eric Spoelstra. So again, this is something that is not relatively new to the Miami Heat and Eric Spoelstra specifically, as Eric Spoelstra hints at the idea that, yes, in practice, behind closed doors, when we are game planning, this is something that we have looked at, something that we have really practiced a handful of times to actually have some idea and some feeling for what it is going to look like when they do step on the hardwood and play this type of scheme together. Now, I'm very excited to see how this plays out. The day we drafted Kel'el Ware, I thought it was a genius idea by the Miami Heat, going out and snagging someone with so much value and potential at pick 15 in the first round. I'm glad we did pick him, but again, we're 41 games in. We've seen the potential, we've seen the upside, and we need answers. Jimmy Butler is there because he has not been traded yet. There's no way around it. He will be traded. When he is traded, we are going to have a substantial missing chunk out of this lineup. And if Kel'el Ware can step in, I know he's a center, and I know Bam Adebayo would most likely be moved to the power forward, and I'm assuming Hayward Highsmith would then be our small forward. That is a disgustingly terrifying defensive team that I think has more capabilities than this currently constructed roster in the sense of the starting five that we're currently looking at. Kel'el Ware, obviously, with the ability to stretch the floor, is a lob threat every single time down the floor, along the same terms of Victor Wembanyama. I give this kid the keys, allow him to run with it. I think it would be great for this Miami Heat team. Let me know down below what you guys think about the ability of moving Kel'el Ware to the starting unit, as well as possibly just giving him extended minutes off the bench to be a substantial piece for this Miami Heat team. And I will see you guys on the next episode of Heat Digest.